pessoal, bem-vindos a São Paulo. Eu vou falar um pouquinho em português e o painel vai ser feito em inglês, não em norueguês, que eu acho que aí estava todo mundo enroladinho. Vou só fazer uma leitura rápida da sinopse do que faz cada um deles. Depois a gente vai passar para a apresentação. Eu acho que é a forma mais interessante da gente conhecer o modelo norueguês de apoio institucional e do empreendedorismo na música é a gente poder conversar e perguntar para as pessoas. Então, a gente conversou aqui antes, eles estão bem interessados em saber os questionamentos que vocês têm para eles. A gente sabe que a Noruega é um dos países que tem a maior taxa de imposto do mundo e também um dos países com maior índice de desenvolvimento. E, por isso, a política deles pode ser bem diferente e bem interessante para a gente poder saber. E o jeito que está montado o painel aqui é legal, porque a gente tem o Consul Geral da Noruega no Rio de Janeiro, no Brasil. Eu vou pronunciar os nomes aqui em português, e depois eles vão pronunciar os próprios nomes em norueguês, que é Rune, Bjastad, que é ele. Foi muito longe. Foi muito mal. Sondre Lerche, quase, que é um artista que tocou no Popload ano passado, fez showcase na Casa do Mancha, está quase paulistano lá. Já sabe onde é que ficam as coisas aqui e tal. E Stian Olsen, que fala português, entende a gente, tem um trabalho longo com o Brasil. E vou deixar para cada um se apresentar um pouquinho. Meu nome é Fabricio, pode direcionar as perguntas para mim ou para alguém na plateia, que está ali. E a gente vai tratar sobre o assunto agora. Posso começar com vocês, Stian? E você já muda a língua. So, you can start.
Okay, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Stian Olsen. I am Norwegian, but I'm living here in Brazil for about 8 years. And I have a production company that I am working with, bringing Norwegian bands to Brazil and setting up tours and shows. I have also a long experience as a band member and artist, having toured all over the world with the kind of cultural and governmental support that we are going to talk about here today. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how this is for me, as seeing the thing from kind of both sides of the table, you know, having also benefited a lot from this money and support, and also now using it to benefit other artists. And when I moved to Brazil, I saw this tremendous market and this passion for music that you Brazilians have that I thought was amazing. So I thought, man, the only reasonable thing to do is to start bringing my Norwegian friends and artists to Brazil to play here. That's why, and that has worked very well so far. And
Could you tell some acts that you helped to?
Yeah, sure. I started in 2011 with kind of a little festival that I brought 2 Norwegian artists, a band called Big Bang, which is like one of the biggest rock acts from Norway, and another more independent artist called Kenneth Isaac, that we did shows in Rio, São Paulo. We also played in Goiânia, which is your hometown, and we played in São Carlos at the Contato Festival. Yeah. We played at Goiânia Noise, yes, which was a first edition of this kind of festival that I'm doing, and it was great. It was like we had a lot of audience at the shows, and that kind of took the word back home for other Norwegian artists that Brazil is a very cool market, and it's something that we should invest both time and money on. Luckily, I've been working with a lot of artists who are open to trying something new. There's no like diva factor involved. Because I also choose the artists that I want to bring, because we all know it's on a indie level. It has to be more relaxed. You cannot expect too much. Yeah. But and we have done a lot of shows at SÄSK, which is this organ, and here, of course, you all know, that I'm very impressed with. That works very well in regards of economy, structure, everything. We brought, in 2014, we had Jaga Jazzist, which is a very a Norwegian jazz band. We did the Jazz na Fabrica, which is very cool. And in 2015, we brought this guy for the first time. We did Pop Load Festival, and we played in Recife, in Fortaleza also, and in Porto Alegre. So it was very good. And this year, I have, with support from the Norwegian government, which my colleague here is going to talk a little bit more about, managed to create kind of a Norwegian small traveling festival. So we played Rio, São Paulo, and Brasilia, which was very good. And
what was the acts of this?
The acts, we were, Sondre Lerche was the headliner, and then we had the singer from Big Bang, Greni, who just released a solo record, and also Sondre's keyboard player, who is Alexander von Meren, who has an amazing project. He opened every night. So we had a 3-act, kind of a small traveling festival. And but we all know that the big challenge of bringing artists to Brazil is far away from Europe, is the cost of bringing them here. And that's where our amazing government has helped a lot, and throughout, as long as I can remember, I have myself toured all over the world with fundings from the government, and that really supports culture, music, and it's kind of it gives an extra energy to the people who want to work with that, and gives a lot of opportunity and space to develop both creatively and like business-wise. So it's a very we are very fortunate to be a part of that society, I think. So
I think we should move to
Rune.
Rune? Yeah.
Yeah, he could fill in a little bit more about this, the whole part of the government's role in all this. So take it away.
Thank you. Being called Rune in Brazil, so it's okay. I'm representing the Consulate General in Rio, and it's an honor to be here to talk about our arrangements and how we try to support Norwegian artists and Norwegian culture abroad. Because the support for music is only one part of what we are doing, and I think it would be interesting for you maybe to hear about what's the background and how we are doing it. So I'll try to explain that. I didn't go as far as Stian in the musical career, but I did play some drums when I was a kid. So that's my cred in the cultural business. Promoting Norwegian culture is not a big part of our work at the consulate. It's mostly concentrated on businesses, Norwegian industry, and helping that. But we do have a small budget for culture, and we're very fortunate to have been able to do something with Sondre this year, and hopefully something next year as well. promoting Norwegian culture is part of the integrated, it's actually an integrated part of Norwegian foreign policy, because we believe that it's good to connect Norwegian culture with other nations, and music is one of those very nice aspects of culture that we can use for that. So that answers the question why. We actually help internationalize Norwegian culture, Norwegian art, and that also gives a good effect on our image, I think. I hope we are able to create an image of Norway which is positive, which is also one of the reasons why we are doing it. It builds our image. And it's not at all like Institut Français, it's not British Council, it's not Cervantes, but we are doing kind of the same. I mean, they are big nations. They do have a lot of muscles, cultural money to promote their culture. And we are 5 million people in Norway altogether. So what we are doing, we have to focus, unless we are not going to be able to do anything. So we have kind of realized that for us as a ministry to handle this, it's not very convenient. When I began in the ministry 2002, 15 years ago, it was still part of the ministry to handle all these support schemes that we do. Now that is outsourced to people that knows what they are doing. It's people from the different arts committees that decides what artists are to be granted, and they do have a very professional setup. So I'm glad that our money from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is able to make something happen. And it's divided into 7 different art forms, where music is one of them. We also have visual arts, theater, support schemes for dance, literature, etc. So the actual work is handled by people from the organizations in these different art forms. In the music business, which is why we are here and what we are talking about, it's an entity called Norwegian, or it's Music Norway. And they have different schemes where you can apply for grants. Altogether, they have a little bit less than 10 million reais. That's a 1-year budget. And they are supporting both artists, they are supporting delegates from other countries coming to Norwegian festivals. Mm-hmm. They are supporting also people coming from press, from international press, going to different festivals in Norway. And there are a lot of different schemes that you can apply for. The aim is to promote Norwegian artists, Norwegian culture. So the money goes to Norwegians and Norwegian actors in this business. But there are a lot of cooperation between Norwegian artists and Norwegian festivals with foreign festivals and foreign artists as well. So there are possibilities for Brazilians, I think, to cooperate both with on the artist level and also on festivals.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I should stop there, and I can go into more detail on the different schemes if you have also if you have questions, but I'll be glad to go more in depth on the different grants after a while.
Okay. You're gonna pass by to Sondre to talk about the artistic perspective.
Yeah.
And then we have some questions. I already have 1 or 2 questions, if the crowd doesn't have any.
Yes, I love, by the way, I love Q&As. So prepare your questions, because this is a dream come true for me. I love watching movies, and then there's a Q&A afterwards at movie festivals. So I'm expecting only the best questions for the 3 of us. But before that, yeah, let me tell you. So my name is Sondre Lerche. I released my first record in 2001. I was signed to a major label called Virgin Records in Norway, who at that point was very powerful locally, because they were the first Norwegian major label to actually sign a record or sign an artist who had just sold a couple of million records abroad. Before that, we had a group called Aha that I know you guys know, but they had been signed to labels outside of Norway, and Virgin Records was the first Norwegian label who had their own sort of success with an artist that they had found. And this was an artist called Lene Marlin. And after she was signed, and after all this success, I was the next guy. I got signed when I was 16 years old, and what that meant was that in the first years of my career, I didn't really, well, I was 16, 17, 18 years old. I didn't think much about government grants. I didn't really feel that I needed it, and I didn't, because at that point I was in a very fortunate, maybe even spoiled situation, because I didn't know it at the time, but I was one of the last artists signed to a major label before they lost everything and the world of music industry changed. So for a couple of years my albums came out, and they came out all over the world, and I got to tour all over the world. As a major label artist, I always felt it was strange that I would exist in that context. I was surprised that I even could hear my songs on the radio sometimes, because the music I grew up listening to was not music you could hear on mainstream radio. A lot of it was actually Brazilian music. And I don't know if this comes as a surprise, but Norwegian radio does not play a lot of Brazilian music. So I had to find that music myself. But I do make pop music, and I was pleased to find that there was an audience for what I did. Sometimes a lot of people, and sometimes it was for more of a niche. When the big changes started happening in the music industry in 2005, 6, 7, people like me started realizing that this is probably gonna change, and you will have to change and adapt to stay active and stay in it. That's when I started thinking about government grants. I started appreciating that Norway is a country that supports the arts, supports music, and wants to export music and artists to other countries. And so I did not sign up for a new contract with the major label. I said bye-bye, and they said bye-bye to me, and I started my own label. I started collaborating more with people like Stian, talented people around the world who want to make things happen, and who also are smart about finding collaborators, such as our friends here from the consulate in different countries. And I felt, in that sense, I was very lucky, because I had the best of both worlds. I had benefited from being signed to a major label when they still had money to throw my way. I was happy to work with really, really good people there. And I know a lot of people have opposite experiences working with major labels. I had a very good experience. But when the time came and the bottom fell out of that whole old world major label, I also had the opportunity to go independent, and I already had an audience. I had cultivated an audience in America, in parts of Asia, in Europe, and also in Norway, where surprisingly I'm sort of part of the mainstream, sometimes at least. And to my surprise, I was lucky enough to find out that I also, much later, have an audience in Brazil. And I'd always wanted to come perform in Brazil because so much Brazilian music has inspired and informed the music that I make since I was very young. When I was 8 years old, I was offered guitar lessons at school, which was also, I guess, a public thing. And I said, yes, I want to play guitar because my favorite group, Aha, incidentally, they were all I could think about, and I wanted to do what they did. And then I realized that I didn't look like Morten Harket. Not even at 8 years I looked like him. But I could probably be that shy guy in the background who wrote all the songs, Paul Voktor. And so I realized I got to start writing songs. And to write songs you need an instrument, ideally. Well, nowadays you don't, but when I was young, you did. And so I started taking guitar lessons, and it just so happened that my guitar teacher was half Brazilian. He had come as a young immigrant to Norway from Brazil, born to a Brazilian mother and a Norwegian father. And he said, "You suck at classical guitar." And I said, I agree, I hate it. Because he tried to teach me classical guitar. And I wanted to play pop music. And he said, well, either you have to quit. And I said, yeah, I want to quit. And he said, or I'll teach you Brazilian pop music. And he started teaching me the songbook of Tom Jobim. And it saved my life. So thank you, Brazil.
Já tem perguntas? Ó, tem mais uma aqui. And now the fun really begins.
Q&A.
Yeah.
Boa tarde, meu nome é José Matos, eu sou produtor, trabalho com alguns artistas, eu sou do Rio de Janeiro. E a pergunta...
I think we get to translate. Or you... So you can
They speak Portuguese. I have no clue, but you can fill me in, or if I need to know. Maybe it's about me and I shouldn't hear it, you know? I'll just...
Vamos lá, pode perguntar. De novo.
Meu
Desculpa.
nome é José Matos, eu sou produtor do Rio de Janeiro e gostaria de fazer uma pergunta aos três, não sei quem pode responder melhor. Eu, como produtor, trabalhando com artistas de MPB, música popular brasileira, como eu posso ter acesso a entidades ou empresas na Noruega para a apresentação desses artistas de música popular brasileira em festivais ou mesmo em eventos fora de festivais? Estivemos lá em dezembro do ano passado, na Suécia, fizemos 3 apresentações de muito sucesso e acreditamos que na Noruega poderia haver interesse também nesse tipo de música que os meus artistas fazem. A pergunta no sentido de como eu posso estabelecer contato lá na Noruega.
Yeah, it's like this. You as a producer for a Brazilian artist or the Brazilian music scene, if you want to have access to the Norwegian scene, there are several festivals. Norway has, I don't know how many, like 50, 60 festivals during the summer or more, at least. And a lot of them are jazz festivals and also more like world music festivals, where I think maybe the MEPB would fit better. My advice to you would be to get in contact with independent promoters there and see if there's any interest for the artists that you represent. And because if you're going to start doing all that work from here, it's possible. I've done it. I've sent Brazilian artists to Brazil from here. But I think also this organ that represents the governmental funding, which is called Music Norway, they have a very nice, they have something called the roadmap to different music markets in different countries, also in Norway. It's like if you enter their website, it will be a list of all the festivals, promoters, media, and how you should kind of go about to enter the market. So it's a very organized country. Yeah. So also on that scene. So
I can just add that if you need any further information and contact info, if you don't find what you are looking for at that website, please get in touch, because we might be able to at least direct you in the right direction. There is a festival called Førde, which is exactly what Stian is referring to. Could be a good option for you.
Alguém mais? Ela tinha pedido. O pessoal sem timidez, viu? Vamos perguntar, porque eles são fãs de perguntas e respostas.
Hi, my name is Lamia. I work for Vento Festival here, which is in São Paulo's North Shore. And my question is more for you, Stian, which is, you moved here. I'm also not Brazilian, and I started working somehow in the music industry. And my question for you, since moving here, what made you decide to start your own production company in São Paulo? A little crazy. And what kinds of challenges have you met coming from such an organized country, and a very different work ethic? And what kinds of challenges did you face? And to be here 8 years later, still on this stage and working with music?
Yeah, it's like this. I used to have a band that still exists in Norway that we toured a lot all over the world with this kind of funding, and I was the guy in the band who did all the booking the shows, the tours, and doing all the production part. So I kind of had that experience. When I moved to Brazil, I saw an opportunity to continue working with something that I love, and I'm still a musician actively. I have bands here and everything. But also, it took me a couple of years to understand how this market worked. Of course, your question, it's a sensitive question, the thing with, yeah, you know that. So it's, no, I'm not going to say, I'm going to be very diplomatic. But it's like, yeah, it was a challenge, most definitely. It was because we come from a very organized country that, of course, has its defects also, but it's especially working with the production when we come down to like on location, venues, when you organize instruments, backline, PA, the whole shebang. It's like, compared to where I come from, it's a big challenge. But it's also a lot of big contrasts, because we have places here where you come and it's just, wow, everything works. And places where we come and it's like, you just want to leave. So it's like, but that's a challenge that I take with positivity, and I think it's like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So you have to go and just, okay, this is what we have to work with. So let's just make it happen. Like you guys have the expression in Brazil, fazer acontecer, which is whatever means we have, we just have to make it happen. When the doors open, the audience, they're gonna have a show, no matter what. But it's an ongoing challenge, and it's something that I know. I also explain to the artists that I bring down that this is not Norway. You might just get to the venue, it's not the amplifier that you want, although I asked for it 10 times. It's like, we had one incident here where which was the most rigid production that I did. I did for a huge jazz orchestra, and they made me sign the writer, which is something that I never do. But because I know that it's always a lot of surprises on that front. But they made me sign the writer, but I was smart enough to make the venue sign the writer. So, and on the day of the show, that signature came in handy. So, without further detail, but it, yeah. So it's like, in that case, I'm lucky to work with artists with like Sondre, like Big Bang, like the bands that I've brought down, who are with both feet on the ground, and they are kind of, okay, it's not exactly what we had expected, but let's make it happen. So, but I think that when in the end, what is important is that the people who pay the ticket, who come to see the show, that they get the show they hope to see. And the only thing that I think is a little bit sad and can and should be improved is the structure part, because many times you have a great artist on stage and the sound is bad. So, but that's something we experience all over the world. It's not Brazil. I've lived in other countries before. I lived in Spain for a while, and believe me, it was not easy. A lot of venues. I've toured all over the place. So, that's not exceptional for Brazil. So, did I answer your question, or did I talk about a lot of other things? Is okay? Cool.
I have one question for you. From the same perspective, as Stian said, it's really different to do with the conditions of the shows in Norway and here, and now with this crazy situation about the government and politics, cultural politics in Brazil. How do you feel about the difference? There's something you can connect. The Norwegian government and the Brazilian government are doing something together. I really want to listen from you about this.
Yeah, there are no press here, are there? No, I'm joking. No, I mean, there is a lot of very nice things to say about Brazil, and we do have a lot of things in common, actually. I'm sure you have heard Norwegian diplomats or Norwegians talk about bacalhau da Noruega, and it's one of the things. I mean, it represents the ocean. The ocean is between us, but it's also something that connects us. And we do have a lot of things in common, both industry-wise. We are in the petroleum industry. There is a huge Norwegian footprint in the Rio area. There is a lot of things that we do cooperate on industry-wise. We are also engaged in the Amazon Fund, where we are financing deforestation, or the anti-deforestation work. That is, which is also it's a challenge, but there is a good cooperation between our two countries.
But you have any connection with the Minister of the Culture now in Brazil, or maybe in São Paulo, or in Rio? I really want to know about
No, I mean
the connection of the
yeah.
Norway government and the Brazilian government in terms of cultural development now.
It's not a huge cooperation. We know that there is a huge challenge in funding on the state level in Brazil. And but it has not been, I mean, it's not been up to the state level to finance this kind of things, because what we are doing as a Norwegian diplomat, as a Norwegian nation, what we are doing in Brazil is to promote Norwegian culture, and that has never been financed by Brazilians. So we're kind of, we know that the music business and the cultural business and all other, a lot of other sectors as well is in difficult times in Brazil. But what is affecting us mostly is, of course, that we know there is a coming election next year, and what we are doing on the political level has to be wise, and there is, to put it this way, we don't plan many meetings on ministerial level for next year.
Neither do I. Alguma pergunta a mais, pessoal? A gente tem tempo ali no meio de azul.
Boa tarde, meu nome é Pablo, eu falo do Recife, onde o Sondre tocou, pelo jeito, né? From Recife, you play there? Yes. Okay, cool. My question is to Stian. A few questions about your business model, if I may. How often do you bring artists here, and if that pace is, you know, if it keeps your business going only like that, or if the government money are essential to keep your business going, for you to make a living here, and you know, something like that. What's your structure? If you are a one-man company, or if you have more people with you, sort of like that.
I'm going to answer that question very quick. You know. I cannot make a living out of only doing this. This is kind of more, I have a company that works with, it's a production company that works with a lot of different things. Like on the event market in São Paulo, that is very big. But this is kind of, but we are several people in the company. So the branch that works with like Música autoral, which is, you guys call it, which is the part that I deal with. And I had, since 2011 up to 2015, I did, I was kind of an exclusive, let's call it a manager for this band called Big Bang here in South America. And we did, I think I did like 60 shows with them in 3 years.
60?
Yeah. So that was very good. So those 3 years I made a living. But then I brought Sondre, no, I brought Yoga Assist in 2014, Sondre 2015, and I had a break in 2016 because the market was, man, we all know it went down ugly.
Zero.
Yeah. So, but then this year I thought, man, I'm going to try to do something new. And then we created this together with the consulate, something called, it's like a Norwegian festival called Norsk Fest, which is like, our intention is to do it every year, to bring 2 or 3 Norwegian acts to play in a couple of Brazilian cities. But we all know that it's very hard to make a living of music, either like being an artist or a producer or a booker, unless you work on the level of, oh yeah, you feel Murumbi Stadium, you know. It's like, I think we can all agree on that. Even the bigger independent festivals here, if they didn't have the passion for music, they wouldn't do it. You know, it's like a conta no fecha. We all know that. So, but that's why we're here now, because we love music, and if it wasn't for us, man, what would happen to the world with that too? Because someone has to keep the wheels rolling, and so I think that's important for us to have people like you, people like Fabricio here, who has, you know, doing a lot for the music scene in Brazil. So, yeah.
And Sondre, from the perspective of the artist, how is to come, because you tour here twice.
Yeah.
And it's getting better, more people is going to see the shows. How you, from the perspective of the artist, what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's when we came here 2 years ago, I think it was definitely important that, you know, you need a certain flexibility. First of all, because I've never played here before, so you don't know, is anybody going to show? What are the venues you're playing? We played a big, you know, the Popload Festival, which was a big, very professional, very slick, well-produced festival. And then the next day, we played a very small venue in Recife, and so the contrasts are very big, and it requires, I think, the artist to be very flexible and light on your feet. You have to be able to adjust, and I guess that's the sort of the mantra of the industry overall. You have to be able to adjust. You know, you can't just do one thing and demand to bring that production wherever you go, or you can't just go. You can't just go places where you already sell 1,000 tickets. You have to be able to sort of widen your horizon and go where there is just a little bit of enthusiasm or a little bit of structure. But as an artist, I feel blessed that I like to improvise. And if you like to improvise, you can tour in Brazil, because there is a lot of really beautiful, there's beautiful places, beautiful venues, there's strange venues that you never thought you would play, and some of those moments are sometimes the best in the end. But I'm sure for Stian, who is the producer of it all, maybe the most frustrating or difficult to make happen. But as an artist, I generally thrive on you know, those unexpected situations where you have to improvise. So if you like that, it's I get a kick out of it. But it's not for everyone to be an artist in Norway, Brazil, America. I've toured all over America, North America, many times, and it's quite, you know, it's quite challenging, because you may have an audience in the bigger cities on West Coast and East Coast, but the distances are so wide. So in order to get from A to B, you have to play C, D, and you know, and that's just to make the budget work. And some of those venues maybe aren't what you had in mind, but you have to go there. So that's the same in the USA as it might be in Brazil or anywhere else. And Norway, of course, has become very professionalized in terms of equipment and you know, production. But we need spirit and groove and the heat. We need warmth, and we just did a tour in Norway that was 40 gigs in Norway, and when you play that many shows there, you get in a lot of weird situations there also. So in one way, I feel touring in Brazil is no different than touring other places. There's always something. There's always a hair in the soup, and I wouldn't want to be without it, I guess. Well, sometimes it's a little frustrating, but you get over it pretty quickly.
Alguém mais? Senão eu sigo perguntando também. Pode, claro. Que pode quase tudo até 3:30.
Okay. Sondre, for you now.
Yes, sorry. I was just listening to some music.
Okay. What did you take out from the tours from Brazil? I mean, your presence here, the audience knowing you. What was the result after those tours?
Well, when you come to a place for the first time, you are always very nervous. Will there be people there? I'm active on social media, and on social media it's easy to get the impression that, wow, there's so many people waiting for me there. And then you go there and you realize that it was actually just those 10 people who write to you every day on Twitter, you know? But that gives you the impression that Brazil is, waiting for me. And I've had that happen with other countries that I've felt, I feel there's a vibe there, and I've gone there, and then this is not sustainable. When we came to Brazil, it was immediately clear that there is a lot of people here, and there's a lot of enthusiasm. And I have had a long career already, so you get the benefit of not having gone here for 15 years. The people who still then are waiting for you or hoping, who haven't forgotten about you, are extra excited and extra motivated and extra wonderful. They are really the best audience you could ever ask for. So coming here and playing songs from my whole catalog, I was just surprised people were singing along to songs that I had almost forgotten about myself, or I had forgotten I wrote them. And I think both me and Stian felt the first time that there's something to build on here. And for this tour that I've done this year, we've played over 100 shows all over the world. And coming to Brazil was actually the last leg of the Pleasure tour. And that's a very special performance. It was sort of a type of concert or type of performance where certain things just had to be right. This was a tour where I couldn't go without my keyboard player, for instance, which I did 2 years ago. So I didn't have quite the same flexibility this time, but the one thing we did have was we knew that there are fans out there, and Stian was very good about that and trying to sort of find a way to still do it, and because I wanted to do shows I think shows we did in Brazil were shows number 107, 8, and 9 of this very particular tour that we've been on. So to end it here was very special to me, and the fact that we were able to go through with a relatively big production, and at least in terms of the venues that we were playing here, was very exciting. It's definitely sometimes feels like you're crazy, and that you've started. I'm sure you have this thought all the time, like, what have we started? What, And I've had a very intense year touring this show, first in Norway, then in America, where we had a lot of visa trouble, then in Europe, where ticket sales, to be honest, were terrible. So there's always something. And I think coming to Brazil, the enthusiasm here is so pure and so warm. And the fact that also after 3 shows in a row and very little sleep, and I lost my voice also, which is unfortunate when you're performing. But other than that, it was great. And now I've had 2 days off in Brazil, which in a way is the ultimate reward for doing what I do, when you actually have the luxury of being able to spend time in the place that you visit when it's as beautiful as Brazil, and not have to leave and rush on to the next show, because I have no more shows. I'm done. The work is done.
Alguém? Ali e ali.
Okay, so my question is for anyone who wants to answer it. I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think Brazilian artists, musicians, even producers have to offer to Norway?
Except for incredible music. Yeah, is that what, like, you should maybe, no, I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but there is Brazilian music getting to Norway. No, I saw Jorge Gilberto, Gilberto Gil, sorry, in Oslo 10 years ago. But I think maybe if there is any way that you can start pushing more artists on indie level towards Europe and Norway, there's definitely a market and an interest for that, I'm sure. We've had some Brazilian smaller bands playing in Oslo. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Bulgarins, they played in Oslo a couple of times. Yeah.
2 times.
Yeah. They played it, yeah, man.
They played Malmo
Yeah.
and Oslo.
But I know that it's a huge challenge, because like we talked about before, it's the biggest bill is the plane ticket, you know, to get there, to cross the pond. So but I know it's like maybe to try to organize yourselves to I know how it's probably very difficult to get the kind of governmental funding that we have in this country.
Especially now.
Especially now. But I don't know. Actually, I think I'm gonna give the word over to Sondre, because I wanted to something that he did mention that I am especially, how can I say, I think he's very good at. And is there any musicians or artists here? Cool. So this guy, like he said, he went from being a major label artist until now one of the artists that I think takes better care of his own career. Is like from absolutely everything. He's kind of the guy that definitely the easiest guy to work with, in hands of, okay, I need this photo in high resolution. Like 15 minutes later, he's on my email. It's like, I need this and that, poof, poof. He's really good at like treating his own career, which is something that I think very important for everyone, and for especially independent artists, not to lean back and say, man, nobody's helping me. No. Bottom line is, nobody's going to care more about your own career than yourself. So they have a lot to learn from this guy.
Wow. Well, what do I say now? Well, thank you. Yeah, I guess over the last 10 years, I've gone through a slow realization. There are so many things I've realized just in the last 2 or 3 years that I wish I had realized sooner. But you know, we all have to go there, to get there, and you learn along the way. But yeah, if there's one thing, it's basically taking control of your own career and of course appreciating what you do have. I've been very, very privileged, and still am. Of course, what Stian says is completely true. Nobody will care more than you do, and the sooner you understand and accept that, the better, because you have to be in the driver's seat. When I was 17, 18, and I put out my first album, you know, I was still sort of a child, and it's okay to maybe act a bit like a child. I was a very precocious adult child, but I wasn't paying attention to any of the things that related to the more sort of practical side of the career. I was just going with the flow as long as people got out of my way when I wanted to make music and didn't try to control the creative side. I was happy. And then as you get older, you realize that, that's sort of, you can't live like that, especially not when the world is changing and you haven't adapted with it. So it's been a very, very interesting time for me the last 10 years. I'm having more fun than I ever did. I'm also working harder than I ever did. And I have to make a distinction between the sort of professional stuff that I have to deal with when Stian does send me an email to get a picture in high resolution, and I just know that it's easier if I just send it to him instead of sending him to my manager. And I guess that realization is that sometimes it's just faster. If you want to get something done, maybe just do it yourself, and especially when you know the people at the other end of the email. I know Stian, but there's no reason for someone to sort of be between our communication, to slow it down and to also maybe create misunderstandings or ruin the momentum. Because that's the one thing that is the same in the studio when I'm recording as it is in the professional life. Momentum is everything. And we're all trying to create it, and sometimes it just can't be created. And then you move on to the next thing or to the next album and the next tour. But if you have a little bit of momentum, you do not want to spoil it and ruin it by having the process slow down, and then the momentum dies. And the motivation in the great people that you work with who give a lot, you don't want to test just when their motivation dies, when the momentum of the whole project dies, because things are just moving too slow. That's the one thing in the studio when we're recording. If people start like zooming in too soon when you're just trying to get a vibe, I just stop it, because we have to protect the momentum creatively, and I think professionally. I think that's very important, because there's going to be enough challenges anyway, so you don't want to be creating them yourself when you could get rid of them. So that's something I've learned just as an independent artist and CEO of my own label. And, the same label that I'm also, the runner for, and the assistant to the CEO, and the artist, and the guy who gets coffee for my band if they are starting to get really, really impatient with me. But of course, I can also sometimes just be a diva and a prima donna if I need to also. I get away with a little bit of everything.
Hi guys, I work at a record label here and in São Paulo, and we also try to promote some international concerts here. And I was wondering how to directly contact Music in Norway to bring in Norwegian artists. I actually tried a couple months ago by email, but don't know if it's the right choice, faster.
This is the fast track, my business card. I'll give it to you later. No, but of course, I'll try to help out as good as I can. I don't know why it didn't work out, but yeah. Hooray! The CEO is doing some work for others as well. Right.
Algo mais? Alguém mais? Tem perguntas? As Tian said, I have a festival here in Brazil, and I know there's more people that run festivals or venues, and we want to get the Norwegian tour, so we can use your card or his email as well. For that, you have plans to keep on doing every year. What's the plan for next year?
No, that's the plan, definitely. Yeah.
Maybe May or something like that.
Oh, really?
That's tomorrow.
That's like tomorrow. So
Yeah.
no. Yeah, no. We don't have a specific time. We did it now, I think in November, just because the bands that we brought down, they were all touring Norway all the time, because May, you say it's it's high season for festivals in Norway and Europe and shows in general. So it's harder to get the artists down here in that period. Now it's kind of like, man, they're all done. Like Sondre said, his tour is over. So.
And it's easier to get Norwegians to Brazil in the winter.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because
They love to come.
believe it or not, Norwegian summer is excellent.
Yeah.
So.
And it starts from May to September.
Yeah.
Ok. Se tiver mais alguma pergunta, a gente vai continuar. Se não tiver, a gente agradece. Eles têm cartões, contatos, vão estar aqui todo o tempo, mais tempo na conferência. Alguma pergunta a mais? So, there's something
Let's wrap it up.
some of you guys want to.
I have a question, actually.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, because I was fascinated with I guess my question is this. I went to a show, the show that Fernanda took us to on Tuesday at that beautiful, it was a nice concert hall. It was free. No, it's Monday. Sorry. It was Monday. Yeah. It was a sort of samba band at SESC. Yeah, right. So SESC, and that's the thing that's all over Brazil. So
All over, most São Paulo. Most in
Okay.
São Paulo.
okay.
In the state of São Paulo. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you could do a tour of just the state of Sao Paulo.
Yes.
And play those venues. So my question is this. It's Monday night. My friends and I can just go see beautiful, beautiful samba music played in a beautiful concert hall, and it's free. Who pays for that? Brazil?
No, but there's a guy called Danilo Miranda. It's on the program.
Yeah.
He's the CEO, the head of SESC. He's doing a lecture about it. In what time it is? You know, production? Was
Oh.
before this one.
Damn it, I missed him.
And this guy is here, but it's about the SESC is the, how can I say, Serviço dos Comerciários, da Federação Estadual do Comércio. And they pay for it.
Why? Why?
Because it's important.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like how the government of Norway to bring culture and arts to these people.
Right, but so here's something Norway can learn, because this never happens in Norway. A show of where we learn maybe about our own culture, that's free, and you can just walk in, and somebody does it because it's important. Yes. Why?
You know,
why don't we?
We should set a meeting with you and Danilo Miranda for coffee.
Yeah.
So both of you guys are around here, and then you can exchange this technology.
Actually, yeah, because you asked about this thing with the structure and everything and how I feel about that, and I said, yeah, we have several things, but SESC is one of the things that you should be proud of, which is very, very good. And actually, several of the artists that I brought down, they say, why do we have this in Norway? We can be in a city that has like 10,000 people living in this insane place that you can go and see very cool music for a very cheap price. And
it was packed. It was Monday night.
Yeah.
That's because it's São Paulo as well.
It doesn't happen all over the place, but
Yeah. Everything is crowded here. Pode falar, amigo.
Obrigado. Eu queria esclarecer um pouquinho sobre o assunto SESC, porque eu conheço bem como funciona o SESC, eu trabalho com o SESC há muito tempo, e não é só em São Paulo, no Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, Brasília, Minas Gerais, Porto Alegre, tem SESC no Brasil inteiro.
Sim,
É claro
tem SESC
que
no Brasil inteiro, mas com a estrutura e com a programação de música, em São Paulo é um pouco diferente.
Sim. O
Convenhamos.
SESC de São Paulo realmente é o maior de todos, tem uma quantidade de unidades maior.
Goiânia é um horror, por exemplo.
Como?
Antes era um horror, agora é ruim Lá era, antes era péssimo.
Sim, concordo com você, porque também trabalho com o Sesc no Rio. Esse ano fiz 8 shows no Sesc do Rio de Janeiro. As coisas estão melhorando lá, graças a Deus. Okay? Mas, só para esclarecer, o que é o Sesc? O Sesc é uma entidade que faz parte de um sistema das empresas de comércio, todas as empresas comerciais se associam ao Sesc, pagam uma mensalidade ao Sesc, e esse recurso é utilizado em projetos culturais de apoio à música, teatro, cinema, etc. Da onde vem o dinheiro? Vem da contribuição dos associados, que são empresas comerciais que atuam nos diversos estados da federação. Essa é a explicação.
É exatamente isso.
Yeah, I know well. I did like probably 30 shows in Saski with different Norwegian artists. So it works well. Saski that's the venue that I had them sign the writer. Because it was a very complicated writer.
O ingresso é barato e às vezes gratuito, porque é subsidiado pela contribuição dos associados.
Yeah.
E eles não param de crescer. Tem um em Birigui, né, que inaugurou essa semana. Inaugurou essa semana. Os bulgarinhos vão tocar lá.
Birigui?
Birigui, it's a new one. It's a new one.
Ah, they opened a new one.
Yes.
Cool.
E o Sesc 24 de maio, que inaugurou recentemente, que esse aqui é muito bonito.
You definitely should visit Danilo. His office is on Sesc Belenzinho. Should go there, have a chat. Yeah, give you the contact. Mais alguém? You want to do another question? Oh, that's okay.
Oh, well, no, more an appeal. Like maybe we could bring Sesk to Norway. You know, we could open the first Sesk outside of Brazil.
Sounds like a plan. Então é isso. Vamos aquelas calorosas palmas finais. Obrigado. Thank you very much. E segue assim São Paulo. Tem um monte de coisa ainda hoje.